VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast, coming to you from the studios of VK3 CSJ in Narre South. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, broadcasting on prime frequency of 3541 kHz in the 80 metre amateur radio band, and also simulcasting on 160 metres, there we are, and on 1865 kHz, and streaming via YouTube, and also via the Melbourne TV repeater VK3 RTV, digital channel 2. Good evening to everybody on this 15th of October. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel ASV Radio, and dare I say that it's been a bit of a hassle in trying to get on the air tonight. I was definitely going to try and do a little bit of blue screening, green. See, I'm already flustered. Green screening, but I couldn't get it to work in the last couple of moments, not the way I wanted it at least. So I threw the screen to one corner of the room. So right behind me was the green screen for TV, but it's not there at the moment, I can tell you. Anyway, very frustrating, this TV business. Anyway, for those watching the video, I am on camera, and you should be able to see me on YouTube. I think that part's working successfully. We also have an email address, vk3ekh@gmail.com, vk3ekh@gmail.com, for any reports of tonight's session. We're watching the inbox as we speak, and there's also a chat window available, a Discord chat window, which can be accessed via the ASV website at www.asv.org.au under the Radio Astronomy tab at the top of the screen, and click on that and all will be revealed. So in just a short while we'll have a regular Astrophiz podcast recording of Dr. Julie Banfield, and her subject tonight is called Radio Galaxy Zoo. So I think that goes for about I don't know, I think it was about 10 or 15 minutes. So hopefully that will come across reasonably well over shortwave tonight, over the HF bands. It'll be okay on the YouTube stream and by TV. Okay, I really hustled it together very quickly, some reports tonight. Unfortunately, I in the mad rush to get things sorted, I didn't really get as many images that I wanted to be up on the screen, but nevertheless, we'll see what we can do. Alright, well look, the usual blurb, I'll get that out of the way first about the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and then we'll go into a few other things. So just to recap for those who don't know, this is VK3 EKH in its 30th odd year of broadcasting, not always on television. It's been in its first 20 years it was very simple on 80 meters SSB, and that's all it was. Alright. The Astronomical Society of Victoria was founded in 1922. We have, I believe, last time I checked, 1,600 members scattered throughout Victoria and some overseas. Membership of the Society is open to anyone with an interest in astronomy, of course. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study of and practice of astronomy, and to disseminate the knowledge of the science and to provide a greater facility for the study among its members. Meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of every month, starting at 8 p.m. at the National Herbarium in Burwood Avenue, Melbourne. Parking is plentiful when it's available, and privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at Melbourne Observatory. There's also copies of the regular newsletter, ASV's newsletter, or now called magazine, which is called Crux, which contains articles, news, observing notes and the like. Free provision of the Astronomical yearbook, which is this almanac-y thing that ASV produce. The yearbook provides data for local observations, informative summaries of various celestial objects and other astronomical information. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights, which are held, at least should be held, at Melbourne Observatory. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector, a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a photoheliograph are also housed at the observatory. The regular Society Club Night meetings are held on the first and last Fridays of each month at the Society's property located in Burwood, affectionately known as the Lodge, which we haven't been there for over 18 months. Members are encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there in order to gain first-hand experience in telescope use. The instruments include a 508 equatorial reflector and a number of smaller reflectors which members can use. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located near Heathcote. It's called the Leon Mao Dark Sky Site, LMDSS, and it offers superb views away from light polluted Melbourne and is an ideal spot for visual observing and astrophotography and a little bit of radio astronomy. Members are encouraged to make and to use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Various activities addressed include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet and variable star observing, radio astronomy, computing, cosmology and astrophysics, historical studies, research and astronomy in general. There are 20 sections that make up the ASV, like I say, ranging from astrophysics, radio astronomy, yes, and I was going to say ranging from astrophotography down to space exploration. So if any of those sections sound of interest to you, you can contact the Society by writing to the Secretary. You remember the pen and the piece of paper. The Secretary, Astronomical Society, Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. Conversely though, of course, the internet is there, and you can go to the ASV website at www.asv.org.au and explore the homepage and all the tabs that are provided at the top of the homepage. Everything about becoming a member of the ASV, and it's all done via PayPal these days, easy peasy, and all the rest. So you're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, and we're broadcasting far and wide, and hopefully the band conditions tonight will be good for 80 and 160. We're only running around 100 watts on the both bands. We also say hi to Graham. He's in hospital at the moment, VK3GL. So if you're listening via YouTube on the mobile phone there, Mr. Lewis, I hope you're little surgery there today has gone okay without complications, and that everything is okay, but no doubt you're probably resting at the moment. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in. Okay, now we already have a few folks that have come up on the chat window, so a very pleasant good evening to Richard, VK3VRS, Kieran, VK3BTV, g'day Martin, VK7JAH is in there, Cassiopeia, Mike A, g'day Mike A, who's Mike A? Yeah, Mike A, I'm not sure who Mike A is. G'day Mike anyway. And John, Mr. BLX, somebody by the name of Power Genome 86. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining in. A lot of words there. I can't quite read it all right now. And oh, XL. Okay. G'day, Mike. I don't know your surname. All right. Very pleasant good evening to all that's watching there on the chat window. Great that you're joining there. Where is Mr. Robert Arrowsmith? I don't know where he is. Maybe he is there. He probably disappeared at the top of the page there. No, he's not. Alright, maybe he's got other things to be doing. Anyway, good. Let's just keep moving here because I'm just in one of those moods. I can feel it. Am I still there on TV? Yes, I am. Okay, and the question about QPSK, interestingly enough, I wasted some time in the last half hour just to check the mode settings in my SR transmitter, and it was already on QSP. Okay, so I don't know. Anyway, alright, now what was I going to do next? I'm going to wait for that a little bit later, so I might just go straight into the podcast thing, give me a bit of a break for a few minutes. And what we'll do is we'll show you the screen of Dr. Julie Banfield, and yes, she's going to be talking about Radio Galaxy Zoos with Brendan O'Brien of the astrophiz.com fame. G'day to Brendan if you are listening. So let me just bring up that slide. No. There we go. And there's still audio there, amazingly enough as it may seem. And let's see if I can bring up the audio file. And if it all is okay on the dark side of the moon, we should be able to hopefully pass some decent audio. Let's see if this is going to work. You're tuned to ASV Radio. Where's my caption thingy? There's a little icon thing that should be up on the screen too. There it is. That should be there. And back to that. And I think I've got to turn off that. And let's see if we can go with this.
Our special guest today is Dr. Julie Banfield from Castro. Hello, Julie.
Hello, Brendan. How are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. It's my pleasure today to introduce Dr. Julie Banfield from Castro. So, tell us about your background, Julie, and how you initially became interested in science and then involved in astrophysics and then involved at Castro.
So I grew up in a small town in Canada, just outside of Toronto, Canada, and I was lucky enough to live in a small town where I could actually look at the sky at night and see many, many stars, and I got to see the Northern Lights many times, shooting stars, the Milky Way, just spectacular. And I think that's one of the reasons why I got into astronomy, is that I just had that ability that I could just walk out my back door and I could look up into the wonders of the universe. I wasn't really good at science in school. I was just there, just went about my day as every kid does, go to school, come home. And it wasn't until I went into university and decided that if I'm going to go to school, I need to do something that I enjoy, and I enjoy looking at the sky, and I've never looked back. So that's sort of how I got into astronomy, is just picked up one of those books that the university send out and said, I'm going to give it a try. And then I went and did my PhD in Calgary, so the Rocky Mountains in Canada, doing radio astronomy. And then from there I moved to Australia, down to Sydney, to work at the Australian Telescope National Facility, specifically on the ASCAP Evolutionary Map of the Universe project. And then I made my way to the capital in Canberra, and that's where I am today.
Fantastic. Okay, Julie, can you tell us about your PhD thesis and your subsequent research?
Sure. So my PhD research was mainly on magnetism, magnetic fields, and their importance in the universe. So just to put it into context, the Earth has a magnetic field, and if the magnetic field wasn't there, then life couldn't evolve as we know it on the Earth. So magnetic fields are extremely important, in particular for life on Earth, formation of planets, how galaxies form, as well as how the universe forms. And so my PhD was in trying to understand the evolution of magnetic fields to go from early universe to planets. So that's sort of what my work involved, and I got to travel all over the world to the Very Large Array in New Mexico to get some of my data.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, my work now has sort of progressed away from that, and I'm involved in the citizen science project Radio Galaxy Zoo, where it's an online interactive space where anybody, doesn't matter your background, so you don't have to be a scientist. We teach you the things that we do every day, and you can go online and be a scientist and do science with us, look at the stars, look at the galaxies, and then we take all of that data and we write papers and publish the work and get involved in TV and just get people interested in science.
That's a fantastic approach, Julie, because there's just so much data now that you really need those citizen scientists to help you pre-sift all the data.
Yeah, it's actually rather unbelievable that the amount of data that we have coming in. There was an estimate somebody told me once where 98% of the data that we are collecting will never be seen by the human eye.
Wow.
And that's just remarkable. And astronomy is a very visual science. And to get the most out of it, you need eyes on the sky. Humans are really good at pattern recognition. And just by showing images, we're actually able to sift through the data at a much faster rate. And as a result, we can find really cool and interesting things that have never been seen before. And the data that we have in Radio Galaxy Zoo has been in the archive for over 20 years. And we're constantly finding new things that have never been seen, observed, analyzed before. And we wouldn't be able to do this without people participating in our project.
Yes, and I saw that there was a rare, huge galaxy cluster that was discovered by some Radio Galaxy Zoo citizen scientists.
Yes, that's right. Within the first week after the website went live, we had 2 citizen scientists who discovered this object and posted it onto one of our forums. So that's another great thing about the site, is that if you have a question, you can just post it there and scientists will answer your question. And this is how it happened, is they posted something and said, this is really odd, what's going on? And then the scientists in the group just started working with the citizen scientists to look at these images and analyze it. And it turns out to be one of the largest radio galaxies currently known at this time. And it's falling into a cluster of galaxies. And our current methods of detecting this type of galaxy just aren't good enough to find things that are this big in the universe. And this is where the power of eyes on the sky and pattern recognition come in, is that people are just so much better than machines at this point that, we can still do great science.
Yes, our algorithms are good, but the human eye is great at detecting those pattern shifts.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And it just shows us how things have changed since the days of Archimedes, when he said, Eureka, I have found it. Now the catchphrase is, oh, that's unusual.
Exactly, and that's pretty much what they said on the forum.
Very good. Now let's go back to base, Julie. Can you tell us where and what is CASTRO?
CASTRO is the Australian Research Council. Every year they put a call out for centres of excellence across the nation, and researchers get together and they put in proposal for funding. And the Australian Research Council said that astronomy and astrophysics should have a centre of excellence, and so it's called the ARC Centre of excellence for all sky astrophysics. So we're moving into the age of new telescopes, new technologies. We're able to image the sky faster, and this center brings together all of the major scientists and engineers together in one organization spread out across the country to tackle these problems and issues that these new telescopes and new technologies are bringing forward for us to image the sky.
Great. So I know that Castro is doing some wide field astronomy. Now that brings in an awful lot of data. How are your Castro researchers handling that data?
That's a good question, and I don't think we have an answer for that at the moment. So a lot of the wide field telescopes, so the Murchison Wide Field Array, as well as the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder, are bringing in enormous rates of data per second. And currently, my understanding is that data we can't store it at this moment because it's just too much that's coming through. So it ends up getting sent to the supercomputing facilities in Western Australia. So that's the Palsy Supercomputing Centre, where it gets analysed on the fly and the data gets sent back across country to the major university centres.
Okay, Murchison and SKA are the big ticket items at the moment. How are they going?
They seem to be going pretty good, pretty positive. Lots of excellent science that's come out of it. So the Murchison Wide Field Array, or the MWA, has been producing a lot of really interesting science. New things are showing up there as well. The SKA is moving along, but we're still in the Pathfinder stages. So that's the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder. I think it's going pretty well. We're seeing images, the technology's working, everything's going to plan, I think. So that's a really good positive thing to come from the funding that the government's given us to do the work that we want to do.
Very good. And what's your role at Castro? What does your working week look like?
My working week's pretty intense, I think. I spend a lot of my time working with Radio Galaxy Zoo, so interacting with the public on science, answering questions, getting people involved. And then I also supervise a lot of students in different research projects. And then I try to find time to write up the findings. So I'm in the process of writing up another Radio Galaxy Zoo paper on a new finding that we have. Yep. These are called green dragons. So look out for that soon.
Look, there's always something to look forward to. There's so much happening.
It's unbelievable, the amount of new things that are coming out, even just from data that's 20 years old. It's spectacular. Yeah, so that's my day. And then sometimes I participate in Scientists in Schools, which is a program that invites scientists into classrooms around the nation to basically get people interested in science, get excited about science. You don't have to love it, but just to get excited about it. You don't need to be an astronomer. You don't need to be a doctor. We're just there to get children to start asking questions and look at their surroundings and just understand the world that we live in. And I think it's a very rewarding experience to be able to do that, and it's a great program.
That's our mission here at Astrophys. We just want to normalise science.
Yeah, we don't want to make it too complicated for people. We want to bring science to the people so that they can understand that it's not this complicated thing and that it's actually really fun and exciting and enjoyable.
Fantastic, Julie.
I got a chance to go to Uluru to do the Astronomer in Residence program. So that's another program that Castro runs. And so they send an astronomer to live in Uluru for 2 weeks and interact with the public and do star tours and talk about science. And the skies up there were just spectacular, just unbelievable. The sky in the southern hemisphere is spectacular, just beautiful.
What a way to do it, Julie, because all of those grey nomads who travel around Australia, when they call in and get a bit of citizen science at Uluru, then they go home and talk to their grandchildren.
Exactly.
That's great. That's your outreach work. Castro obviously is on a mission there. Can we finish off now with your personal rant or rave or obsession with astrophysics?
I love the universe. It's a very mysterious place. And it doesn't show you everything, and you have to look hard to find that crack in its shield to sort of start to understand it. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And some projects that you do, you might never see to its full end because it just takes a long time to get anywhere. And then there's projects that are really exciting, and the universe is like, surprise, here I am, and you can get into it and finish it within a year. And those are the moments that keep you going to tackle these problems that the universe holds for us that just take so much longer to do. For example, gravity waves, how long it took them to build the instrument, and then they turn it on and it shows a spectacular result, and that's just amazing.
Yes, beautiful work.
It's excellent. It's breathtaking, and at the same time, you're lost for words at the great result that came out from it. It's just wonderful. I have 2 children, and so that poses a hard issue for me. I mean, I think it's great that they get excited and I can take them places, and Castro's really, really good at providing the opportunity and the funding for people with small children, whether male or female. I think that's excellent. So I'm heading off to Hobart in September, and I'm able to take my daughters with me because they provide childcare, which I think is really progressive and is something that the rest of the community, I think, needs to begin to understand, is that we're humans too. We have families and we have life outside of astronomy, and we're normal people just doing a job and having fun at it. And yeah, so I'm lucky enough to live in a time where this is available to me. And it's not the time of Ruby Payne Scott, where she had some issues when she was having children and getting married, and this was in the 60s. So I'm extremely lucky to be at this point in my career, at this time, at this exact moment where sort of everything has come together, and astronomy is turning out to be a really great science to get into and learn about the universe. I just think it's wonderful. I'm just really happy, and
Excellent.
I think that once I lose that happiness and that eagerness to go to work every day and look at the sky and observe at night, then maybe I'll have to think about doing something else. But right now, I just love it. I just love it. I love my job. I love where I live. I love love everything about it.
Fantastic, Julie. And it comes through in how you say it. You're obviously on a huge roll there, and it is indeed a golden age for astrophysics.
It's the perfect time. Lots of discoveries are just waiting to be made.
And we have made a small amount of progress. I remember Ruby Payne Scott had to keep her marriage a secret just to keep her job with the CSIRO.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, she had to keep it secret, and then she ended up being pregnant, and then she had to quit her job. But CSIRO has come a long way, and they've created the Ruby Payne Scott Award, which I was lucky enough to be successful in applying for that. And it lets people get back into work after going on leave, maternity leave and parental leave. So we have moved forward, and it's really positive changes.
Yes, well, we did an episode on Ruby Payne Scott earlier, and it was very interesting to discover that she developed that interferometer to look at the sun and catch the reflections off the ocean at Dover Heights and, get that interferometry technique happening.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it. All right, excellent. Sounds good.
That was Dr. Julie Banfield from Castro and the Radio Galaxy Zoo Citizen Science Project. So get into it. Get some citizen science happening. Do some work. It's fun and it's very important work. I won't even bother to make a tiny URL for you. Just go to Google and put in Radio Galaxy Zoo. It comes in as number 1.
There you go. Right. That was a recording from the astrophys.com website, courtesy of Brendan O'Brien's website, podcast website. And you've just been listening to Dr. Julie Banfield. That was recorded a couple of years ago, mind you. But it sounds like she's well and truly in the heading out to do some great things there. So excellent recording, and I think we were all there with the audio. Looks like it. Good evening, everybody. This is VK3 EKH, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, on behalf of the ASV. The regular broadcast every Friday night here at 10 o'clock, kicking off at 10 o'clock. I've got a couple of emails that's come through. Good evening to Don and VK3HDX, and also Paul Mitchell, VK3Z ZT. So and they've given me fine reports there, which is really good to hear. Okay, now time is 10:29 already. So I was going to just do a little bit there on our recent flight into space with William Shatner, and just an article really. Was hoping to do a little bit more on it, but anyway, he's quoted as saying that actually I can probably bring that up on the screen. Audio, there we go. His quote is, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, diverting myself in now and then, finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." And that's come from Mr. Shatner with his recent experience there up in space. So he's had a fairly pivotal moment and poignant, and actually I've got a couple of images here too I suppose I could throw in as well. The audio disappears again. There's a shot of Shatner looking out of the window of the capsule in awe of what he's seeing, and there's another one there of everybody having a floating sensation. It was only a very short trip, didn't take very long, somewhere in the vicinity of 10-11 minutes, and it was all over. But the experience overall is out of this world for those folks. Yeah, it's quite good. Now there is something here. Where are we? What was I going to read? Okay, so there's a video of this, of course. A bit tricky to get that captured actually, because it wasn't really easy to grab a hold of. It says here that we finally have our first look at William Shatner's first real trip to space after decades of portraying the legendary Star Trek captain, and it looks like the view was amazing. He says, "Oh wow," Shatner says in a video released by Blue Origin, which launched the Star Trek actor and 3 others on a suborbital trip the other day. "No description can equal this," he says. While the quarters of the Blue Origin's New Shepard space capsule Shatner rode to space in are not as roomy as that of the USS Enterprise he captained in fiction. A new video from spacecraft provider Blue Origin shows Shatner and his 4 crewmates glued to the windows during the microgravity phase of the flight. Shatner chuckles repeatedly while looking at the view of Earth, while his crewmate Audrey Powers, Blue Origin's Vice President of Mission and Flight Operations, exclaims, "Holy hell." The crew members were able to unstrap during the apogee of the NS-18 mission suborbital flight, which lasted just over 10 minutes. The capsule reached a maximum altitude of nearly 66 miles, which is 106 kilometres, 4 miles higher than the widely recognised boundary of space. And this was the voyage of the RSS First Step today. Blue Origin wrote in a Twitter video description, its mission encounter Earth from incredible views at the peak of the flight. Also on the flight was Glenn de Verres, Vice Chair of the Life Sciences and Healthcare at the French software company Dassault Systems, and Chris Bosch-Zem, co-founder of Earth observation company Planet. But it was Shatner who took the lion's share of the coverage, as the conventional space captain became the oldest person in space at the age of 90 on only the second ever crewed space flight for Blue Origin. After the flight, he was moved to tears during a press conference as he explained his feelings upon looking out the window. "What you have given me is the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about that, what's just happened. It's extraordinary," he says. While talking to Jeff Bezos, he says, "I hope I never recover and that I can maintain what I feel now," Shatner continued. "I don't want to lose it. It's so much larger than me and life." So yes, wonderful experience for anybody really that goes in such a vehicle, and I'm just glad that it went all okay, and that in general there was no major issues that occurred. Very good indeed. You're tuned to ASV Radio VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night news. Now, another little interesting thing that's been flying around on the news streams of various sorts. Let me see if I can bring up that slide and bring up the article. It's just there. Radio waves, strange radio waves. Alright, there's a oops, one. I'll bring up the card here. As that audio disappears, it's such a pain. Okay, now it appears that a signal from deep in the Milky Way is tantalising scientists. Now, it sounds like this is nothing unusual of late, with fast radio bursts being a thing for the last 3 or 4 years now. But this is something else, and it's definitely got them interested, radio astronomers, scientists. An international student, Ziting Wang, detected unusual signals from deep in the heart of the Milky Way using the CSIRO's ASCAP radio telescope. Now astronomers are on the search for more evidence of what type of object could be emitting them. Astronomers have discovered unusual signals coming from the direction of the Milky Way's centre. The radio waves fit no currently understood pattern of variable radio source and could suggest a new class of stellar object. The strangest property of this new signal is that it has a very high polarization, and this means its light oscillates in only one direction, but that direction rotates with time, says Ziting Wang, lead author of the new study and a PhD student in the School of Physics at the University of Sydney. The brightness of the object also varies dramatically by a factor of 100, and the signal switches on and off, apparently at random. We've never seen anything like it. Many types of stars emit variable light across the electromagnetic spectrum. With tremendous advances in radio astronomy, the study of variable or transient objects in radio waves is a huge field of study, helping us to reveal the secrets of the universe. Pulses, supernovae, flaring stars and fast radio bursts are all types of astronomical objects whose brightness varies. At first we thought it could be a pulsar, a very dense type of spinning dead star, or else a type of star that emits huge solar flares, but the signals from this new source don't match what we expect from these type of celestial objects, Mr. Wang said. The discovery of the object has been published today in the Astrophysical Journal. Mr. Wang and the international team, including scientists from Australian National Science Agency, CSIRO, Germany, the United States, Canada, South Africa, Spain, France, discovered the object using the CSIRO's ASCAP radio telescope in Western Australia. Follow-up observations were with the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory, Meerkat telescope. Mr. Wang's PhD supervisor is Professor Tara Murphy, also from the Sydney Institute for Astronomy and the School of Physics. Professor Murphy said, "We have been surveying the sky with ASCAP to find unusual new objects with a project known as Variables and Slow Transients, VAST, V-A-S-T, throughout 2020 and 2021. She says, looking towards the centre of the galaxy, we found ASCAP J1736082-321635, named after its coordinates, of course. This object was unique in that it started out invisible and became bright, faded away, and then reappeared. This behaviour was extraordinary. After detecting 6 radio signals from the source over 9 months in 2020, the astronomers tried to find the object in visible light, but found nothing. They turned to the Parkes radio telescope and again failed to detect the source. Professor Murphy said, We then tried the more sensitive Meerkat radio telescope, that's MEERKAT, Meerkat radio telescope in South Africa. Because the signal was intermittent, we observed it for 15 minutes every few weeks, hoping that it would see it again. Luckily, the signal returned, but we found that the behaviour of the source was dramatically different. The source disappeared in a single day, and even though it had lasted for weeks in our previous ASCAP observations, however, this further discovery did not reveal much more about the secrets of this transient radio source. The information we do have has some parallels with another emerging class of mysterious objects known as Galactic Center radio transients, including one dubbed the Cosmic Burper. Burper. Mr. Wang's co-supervisor, Professor David Kaplan, from the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. While our new object, ASCAP J1736082-2-321635, does share some properties with GCRTs, there are also differences, and we don't really understand those sources anyway, so this adds to the mystery. The scientists plan to keep a close eye on the object to look for more clues as to what it might be. Within the next decade, the Transcontinental Square Kilometre Array (SKA) radio telescope will come online. It will be able to make sensitive maps of the sky every day, Professor Murphy said. We expect the power of this telescope will keep us solve mysteries. The power of the telescope will help us, is what it is. Solve mysteries such as the latest discovery, but it will also open vast new swaths of the cosmos to exploration in the radio spectrum. There's a declaration here. What's this? Researchers receive funding and support. Oh yeah, okay, it's just the nonsense stuff. Alright, so there it is. The latest coming in from the middle of our galaxy. That was published 12th of October, and it's called Strange Radio Waves Merge from Direction of Galactic Center, which is some 26,000 light years away. Oh, very interesting indeed. Alrighty then. Now, and that I have to go back to there to see it again. That was the Sydney of University. If you want to catch up with that, Sydney of University. That's www.sydney.education. It's an edu.au. Under the news, you can find heaps there actually. Time is 10:43. And I think there was something else here. I've also got a solar weather report from the Space Weather Woman from a couple of days ago. She's hot on the heels of some recent CME. G'day to Tamitha if you're watching. And that reminds me, while listening to Sammy J 774 in the morning, like I normally do, when I'm getting ready for work, that is, every Tuesday morning, every fortnightly every Tuesday, every fortnight on a Tuesday morning, he has Professor Alan Duffy to talk to. Interestingly enough, Mr. Duffy, or Professor Duffy, mentioned that as of next year there will be an official centre for solar weather observations here in the southern hemisphere, and I just thought there already was one actually, but this is definitely there's already a building that's going to be dedicated to it in South Australia, and it's definitely going to be. I think it's going to be called the Solar Weather Centre, and they're going to provide all information much the same as what we see from Tamitha with her reports, which are predominantly Northern Hemisphere orientated, but global. And I think that Tamitha is also very keen on talking to Swinburne. She's already got some contacts down here, and try and get some information on the Southern Hemisphere point of view. So that'll be interesting. Although she doesn't mention that, I don't think she does in her next report, which I'll bring up in just a moment. But let's see, there's just another article here I thought might be interesting to look at. Just check its length. Oh, that's alright. Yeah, what's this about? Hang on a sec. Let's just check something else. This is VK3 EKH. If I got my... Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, that's about equal length. Alright, just checking article length here, so I'm not going to go for too long. Yep, alright. Yes, alright. Earth's equatorial bulge shapes the planet's physics. Meteorologists, oceanographers, and snipers have to account for this deformation. What am I talking about? Earth might look like a sphere, but it's actually an oblate spheroid. The planet is slightly squashed, making the circumference of the equator bigger than the circumference through the poles. Clouds, ocean currents, and long-range missiles all would behave differently if Earth were perfectly spherical. The bulge exists because the force created by Earth's rotation. As a result, a person on the equator is over 13 miles farther from Earth's centre than a person on the North Pole is. That difference is more than double the distance between sea level and the top of Mount Everest, but on a planetary scale, this bulge is virtually imperceptible. Boyd Edwards, a physicist at Utah State University in Logan, said it's roughly equivalent to a single layer of duct tape around a spherical volleyball. Earth is so close to being spherical that physicists sometimes will treat it as such in their models, said Mr. Edwards. But this simplification can cause significant errors when calculating motion on Earth's surface. In a paper published in August in the American Journal of Physics, Edwards and his brother John Edwards, where did I go then? Said Edwards, his brother John Edwards, a computer scientist. Have a drink, mate. I think I will, just a sec. Things make you go, A computer scientist who also is at Utah State demonstrated how Earth's spheroidal shape affects motion by envisioning an Earth that is completely smooth, not flat, I might add. That's just me throwing that comment in. An Earth that is completely smooth and covered in frictionless ice, and asking that would happen if you shot a hockey puck across its surface. It was a PUCK. A hockey player on a spherical Earth. How much more of this article have I got to go? Not so much. What are they on about? Imagine that a hockey player standing somewhere in Portugal shoots a puck directly north at around 100 miles per hour. Where will the puck go? From the player's perspective, the puck moves north at first. Then, on a spinning sphere, the centrifugal force... Oh, the microphone just fell. On the centrifugal force, an outward force that arises from the spin pushes the puck toward the equator. After travelling about 50 miles north, the puck reverses its direction and starts to move south. At the same time, the Coriolis Force, another force that merges in rotating systems, drives the puck to the west. Part of the reason is that as Earth spins, objects closer to the equator are moving faster than objects closer to the poles. Since those points have to travel farther to complete an orbit in the same amount of time, it's similar to how a track athlete in an outside lane has to run faster to keep up with the runner on the inside lane. I always thought that was an illusion. Anyway, as the puck travels south, the land beneath it is moving faster eastward, so the puck appears to move west. Are you following me? No, says someone. Furthermore, as the puck gets closer to the equator, it gets farther from the Earth's axis of rotation, and to conserve angular momentum, the speed at which it moves to the east slows. It's the same reason why a figure skater spins faster. Just thinking of something funny, sorry. Spins faster with the arms tucked in, and the slower with the arms stretched out. Yes, we've all seen that little analogy. This slower further pushes the puck to the west. This slowing further pushes the puck to the west. As the puck travels to the southwest, it speeds up until it crosses the equator, at which point it starts to slow, as the centrifugal force pulls it back to the equator again. The puck gets as far south as Argentina, actually exactly as far below the equator as its highest point above it, before returning to the north. The puck will continue to zigzag between the northern and southern hemispheres while moving to the west. Good grief. Finally, there's 3 more paragraphs here that are relatively short. On a spheroidal Earth, the centrifugal force and gravity cancel each other out, leaving us with the Coriolis Force to affect the puck's movement. The Coriolis Force, I think I'm pronouncing that right, is what gives hurricanes and cyclones their circular movement, and that the puck behaves similarly, rotating clockwise while hovering near Spain and Portugal. The puck would move differently if the hockey player started at a different location and shot the puck in a different direction, and you can play around with the different starting points in this visualization software. They've actually got visualization software you can click on, designed by the paper's authors, but these examples show the profound effect Earth's shape has on movement on its Earth. Boyd Edwards said that the Earth's spheroidal shape has implications for aviation, meteorology and oceanography and other fields, since the Coriolis force will affect motion, but the centrifugal force will not. But more importantly, I think it's fundamental for us to understand everything there is to understand about our Earth, he said, and this is the only planet that we have that we're likely to live on. Alright. If you really want to catch up with that article for yourself, it's in astronomy.com, under astronomy.com, under the news tab, and the article's titled Earth's Equatorial Bulge Shapes the Planet's Physics. And that was published October 14. Good grief, I could have picked another article. Alright, it is that time, so it's about 8 minutes, so I'm going to go straight to Tamitha. Let me get rid of this web page. Go back to our vMix. And where are you, Tamitha? Bring her up there. And I think all I need to do is hopefully this. Let's go ahead. Let's see. Alright.
We have a big flare player on the Earth-facing disk and an Earth-directed solar storm. Those stories and more in the news this week. This space weather forecast is sponsored in part by Millersville University. Come get certified in broadcast space weather. Visit millersville.edu/SWEN. Space weather this week is definitely keeping us on our toes. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, you can see the big flare player up there in the north. This is region 2882, and you can see it firing a couple small solar flares right around the 8th, and then wham! Right there late on the 8th, it fires an M1.6 class flare along with an Earth-directed solar storm, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. It also causes a couple other solar storms to be launched shortly there later. None of them look like they're really Earth-directed, but we are keeping an eye on this region because it continues to be a big flare player. On top of that, it's also launched a radiation storm, pretty small, but it has those radiation levels a little bit elevated right now. We're going to be watching that over the next couple days. Now, on top of that, we also have a small coronal hole that is going to be rotating into the Earth strike zone here in the next 3 days or so. So we're going to kind of get a 1-2 punch. We're going to get that Earth-directed solar storm, and then we're going to get some fast wind as a chaser. So we definitely have some decent chances for storming and aurora. Now, as we take a look at our far-sighted sun, this is stereo A, and it's taking a look at the sun just a little bit from the side. You can see back on the 8th, region 2882, wham, as it fires that solar storm. That's the one that's Earth-directed. And now behind it, we also have a few bright regions in the south and one that's rotating into stereo's view in the north. These regions are not really all that active as far as we can tell, but they will help to keep that solar flux boosted. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders continue to expect marginal radio propagation on Earth's day side over the next few days. And of course, when that solar storm hits, expect some issues on Earth's night side. Now switching to coronagraphs, this is the LASCO coronagraph aboard the SOHO spacecraft, and the view is from Earth. This side has the intensity, the raw images, and this side has the difference images that enhance the features. And when we take a look at the difference imagery, you can see early on the 9th, wham, right there. Do you see that big ring going around the sun? Well, that is the solar storm that was launched during that M1.6 class flare, and that big full ring around the sun tells you that that thing is Earth-directed. And this one's fast too, which means it's going to pack a bit of a punch. So we could have some decent chances for aurora over the next couple days. Now switching to our prediction models, Enlil. Now this is NOAA's version of the model. The top panel's density, the bottom panel's velocity, and you're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. And as you watch that solar storm being launched, you can see it's coming directly towards Earth. In fact, NOAA has their prediction of the hit of this solar storm to be about midday on the 11th. And when we take a look at the velocity, which is the speed of the storm coming out, it's actually quite a fast solar storm. So we are anticipating aurora to come down to mid-latitudes. We could see a decent show from this one. And then, of course, we have that fast wind stream coming after it. So it's going to be kind of like a 1-2 punch from that perspective. Now, when we switch to NASA's version of the model, now it's a little bit different, but not too much different. Their prediction, again, you're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. Again, their impact time is showing midday on the 11th. So this is good news that we're having a consensus, and it's also showing it being a direct hit. Now, as we switch over to the Met Office in the UK, the Moswak's version of Enlil, well, their version is also showing a direct hit, but they're showing it impacting just a little bit earlier, about mid-morning on the 11th. So aurora photographers, get your batteries charged and be ready for a bit of a show, starting maybe possibly early on the 11th, but definitely by midday or even late day, we should be well into a nice solar storm. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the hit from that big solar storm that's coming toward Earth. It's going to be a direct hit. So at high latitudes, NOAA is expecting major storm conditions. As a matter of fact, we have about a 70% chance for a major storm starting around the 11th. And this will continue to storm easily into the 12th and possibly then begin to die down just a little bit. But we do have that fast solar wind that's going to be chasing it. So it could easily keep us up into active conditions conditions over the next couple days until about the weekend when things will finally settle down. Now, mid-latitudes will also have a small chance for a major storm. This is at the G2 level, but likely we're just going to see active conditions. But that's still good enough to give us some decent aurora at mid-latitudes, at least from the 11th and possibly into the 12th before things kind of settle down. And then things will get a lot more sporadic with that fast solar wind. That's not going to be all that fast, but it could keep us storming sporadically in through about midweek, possibly the trailing end of the week before things settle down. So it's a good chance to get some decent aurora photos clear into mid-latitudes. Switching to your solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week, believe it or not, everything is not in the green because of region 2882, which is a big M-flare player right now. As a matter of fact, NOAA's giving us about a 10% chance of an M-class flare easily over the next couple days, and we'll have to see if that settles down or not. But right now, region 2882 is actually maintaining its big flare posture. So we do have a risk for radio blackouts. You GPS users on Earth's day side, especially near dawn or near dusk, kind of stay vigilant because of those radio blackouts could definitely cause you issues for GPS reception. Now, we also have regions 28, 83, and 84 on the Earth-facing disk, and all of that is keeping that solar flux boosted into the mid-80s. We also have a new region that's going to be rotating into Earth view over the next few days, so that solar flux should stay in that mid-80s and give us a marginal range for radio propagation on Earth's day side easily over the rest of this week. Now, as far as solar radiation storms are concerned, we are at elevated levels right now, and this is due to a very minor radiation storm. It's not at the S1 level, but we do have about a 5% chance over the next few days, possibly over the rest of this week, to have another radiation storm that could possibly be bigger due to region 2882. So you frequent flyers, and this does include air crew who fly at over 800 hours annually and fly at high latitudes and high altitudes, you do have that moderate range for radiation dose right now, and this does include prenatal passengers. So please take this into consideration in your flight plans. So all eyes are on region 2882 this week as it continues to be a big flare player with potential for radio blackouts. So amateur radio operators, you're going to have to kind of stay vigilant. You're going to have a little bit more noise on the bands this week, and you're going to potentially have more radio blackouts. So, you know, on top of your just marginal radio propagation, you could see some issues. Of course, when that solar storm hits, you'll see issues there as well on Earth's night side. And speaking of that solar storm, we do have that Earth-directed solar storm that could pack a bit of a punch. So aurora photographers, definitely keep your batteries charged because we could have a chance for aurora even down into mid-latitudes starting maybe early on the 11th, but definitely by midday we should have a better feel for what the solar storm is doing, and we could see a bit more aurora activity at the trailing end of the storm, especially just because of the way it might be configured. But then also after that we have some fast wind as a chaser, so aurora views could be sporadic even through, you know, nearing the end of the week. So this could be a really nice chance to catch some decent aurora shots if you haven't had a chance yet. And now you GPS users, well, you know, we do have a big flare player on the Earth-facing disk, and now we're going to have a solar storm on Earth's night side here in the next few days. So GPS reception is going to be a little bit compromised, especially if you're near dawn or dusk. Definitely stay vigilant because of those radio blackouts. And also on Earth's night side, anywhere near aurora, that's a problem for you too. So, you know, you're just going to have to ride this one out, and hopefully next week will be better. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Okay. You're tuned to some audio that will help. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, there we are. Okay, that was Tamitha. Thank you very much, Tamitha, for your very quick report there over the last few days leading up to today. Yeah, there's been some very interesting things afoot. And let's just quickly go to spaceweather.com anyway and see what they've got in the scheme of things. According to spaceweather.com, the solar wind is currently at 356.6 kilometers a second at a density of 10.6 protons per cubic centimeter. 2 sunspots on the disk of the sun as we speak in the far corner, far edge of the rim. AR 2882 and 2883, making sunspot number at 26 at the moment. The radio sun is currently at 79 solar flux units, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimetres. And of course there are some aurora forecasts. Another CME is coming, but this one might miss. A magnetic filament connected to sunspot AR 2882 erupted during the early hours of October 12. The debris is expected to pass in front of Earth on October 15. The near miss could spark Arctic auroras, but probably no geomagnetic storms. Yes, just having a quick read there. Okay, for those that are regular to looking at spaceweather.com will be aware that the Earth to Sky calculus group of students, every week they launch a balloon into the higher atmosphere, and they generally carry some sort of artifact or object or device or thing which is photographed from a camera on board the balloon payload. And at this moment they've got a small model of the USS Enterprise, which is currently sitting in the stratosphere on board a cosmic ray research balloon at 105,563 feet. And there's a picture of it there. They actually sell that later to fund their balloon exercises. Good on them. Alright, as of the 15th of October 2021, there's 2,222 potentially hazardous asteroids. So that's it, space weather in a nutshell. Of course, just by going to spaceweather.com, we'll keep you abreast of what's happening on a daily basis. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, where I think at this point in time we shall conclude. Yes, I think we'll conclude at this point in time. It's already 6 past the hour. Don't like to push the point. So to everybody who's sent me email tonight, there's been a small handful of folks that have done that. Don, Paul, Ian, thanks guys for sending the reports in there to vk3ekh@gmail.com. And to the folks there on the Discord, I can see that Rob has called in at one stage, so thanks Rob for visiting. It looks like he's had to disappear early. G'day Joe, 3BKI, and there's Gary there as well, and Richard, VK3VRS there, and I think there was a few others at the top of the list. I think there's quite a few who've been talking. John, VK3BLX, thanks John, Cassiopeia, Nebs and Kieran, Martin, VK7JAH, and that's about it. Alright, thanks guys for popping by on the chat Discord there and having a bit of a talk. Excellent stuff. John reports all nice on RTV, Clint, thanks for the broadcast, no worries at all. John, been excellent. It started off a little bit rough. Anyway, alright, so I shall now conclude transmissions on 160, so there won't be any callback on 160 as usual. There'll be a quick callback on 80 metres on 3541. So this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, ASV. Concluding transmissions tonight on 1865 kilohertz. A very pleasant good evening to all stations that will be listening on 160 tonight. For further information on the ASV, just go to www.asv.org.au and all will be revealed. We'll be back next Friday to do it all again. Okay, this is VK3EKH concluding on 1865. Stand by. Stations on 160. On 80 metres. Just a riff. Dear, it's all been fun tonight. Okay, this is VK3EKH with VK3CSJ on the microphone. Your host is Clint Jeffrey, VK3CSJ Narrow Warren South. I guess you all know that. Right now I'm trying to find, there it is, pen and paper. So this is VK3CSJ listening on 3541.
VK3 Juliet earlier. VK3 Juliet Sierra. VK3 Bravo Sierra Echo. And VK3 X-ray Lima. VK7 KAH.
Alright, there are a few stations that doubled. I have VK3VIN, VK3JR, VK3TJS, VK3BSE, I think it was, Bravo Sierra Echo, VK3XL and VK7JAH. Is there anybody else?
3NFS, VK3NFS.
Aha, VK2, go ahead, go again. Roger, got that. VK2 Echo Lima Sierra ELS. Excellent. Alright, that's a good call in. Take it away in VK3VIN, VK3EKH.
Yeah, g'day. We've got a 3NSS. VK3 not for sale. Speed in the Wodonga there as well. Good on you, Clint. VK3EKH, VK3VIN. Another good broadcast. Well, I'm beginning to like the space weather lady. What's her name? Tamitha. If she ever loses the job, I reckon she'd be a good raincaller. Anyway, very good and interesting to hear the space weather. Conditions have been really crazy this week, and very bouncy. I mean, that's what you call it. It's almost like a transgrade type condition, with stations being strength 7 or 8 one time, and then 20 seconds later you can't hear them. So, all to do with space weather, of course. And, yeah. I think we've had a number of storms this week because of the way the band has been behaving. But of course there's the disturbance with the sunspot cycle coming up as well. So all good. Now what I've done tonight is I've listened to you on with the filter, the top end filter on the TS590S up at 5 kilohertz. So, and that's made me sound more like an old-fashioned radio receiver in terms of the way the noise sounds. But it does marvels for the audio. And that's what I said in my email, that it was the podcast was much easier with the wireless filter. Other than that, podcast report. Good broadcast, pretty quiet. You think 30 over 9, you just cut 30 on several occasions, but mainly 20 over 9, between 10 and 20 over. So good broadcast, thank you very much. And I wonder if there's been anything done or looked at about incorporating some radio astronomy in with the Joker. Could be very, very interesting. VK3EKH, VK3VIN.
Yeah, okay, in VK3VIN, VK3EKH returning, and thank you for the comments there, and reasonably good signal from you tonight too. 5 and 9 plus about 15 to 20 over. Lightning crashes are taking its toll. There's quite a lot of lightning going on out there over the Tasman Sea as we speak. Looking at our lightning detector on the ASV website, the radio astronomy website at least. The real-time lightning detector is going flat chat with a lot of strikes, and it's been raining here in Melbourne, at least in Narrewar and South, pretty continuously all day since about midday. We've got almost 24 mils of rain fallen here, so yeah, everything's wet and horrible at the moment. I don't know about radio astronomy in Jodha. I don't know how that would work. I suppose you'd just probably go to a place where they've got the scouts set up, and I suspect there's going to be some sort of radio linking going on, as they usually do with the Jamboree on the air, or whatever it might be called these days. So it's probably just a matter of rolling up there with a trailer and a 3-metre dish that can fold out and demonstrate radio astronomy to the young lads, boys and girls. So it's a thought, maybe. Anyway, I'm sure somebody will come up with that idea to do that at some point, maybe, perhaps, possible. Thanks, Ian. Good, thanks for the report. And yeah, I acknowledge that Tamitha does a great job. She's been doing it for years. And she's, if you go to her YouTube website, Space Weather Woman, you can find a whole swag of other videos there. There's videos there that go on for more than half an hour, where she's just educating people about solar weather, and there's often communications going on with people that are watching at the same time, asking questions in real time when she does it. So yeah, all very good stuff. But I am looking forward to seeing the Australian Space Weather Centre coming online and providing some information to Tamitha's report, which will be really good. Anyway, in due course, as they say. Thanks, Ian. Frank, VK3 Juliet Radio, VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH, VK3 good evening, Clint. Good evening, everyone. Great song here. Lovely signal. Sounding good. Yeah, Tamitha, it's a highlight from you, really. She does a great job. It's interesting that even though she's a few days out of date, it's interesting to see how her 1 through 4 in terms of observed conditions on the shortwave band. So yeah, keep her going. I must have a look on her website, indeed on YouTube. Otherwise, not much to report. I missed the first part of the broadcast. And the exoplanets, confirmed exoplanets, 4,570. That's it. Thanks for doing it, Clint. Talk soon. VK3, have a good week. VK3 EKH, VK3.
Thanks, Frank, VK3JR, VK3 EKH. You're peaking 20 over 9. So good signal down to Narrewar and South as well. Thanks for the reports, and the current exoplanet, I think you said 4,570. So yeah, I must try and get that app. I know there's an application that you can load onto your mobile phone that keeps you abreast of all that sort of stuff. Anyway, another story. All right, thanks, Frank. Jack up at Shepparton, VK3TJS, VK3 EKH.
Thanks, Lee, for a wonderful broadcast. Really good signal, and looking forward from that radio of yours. It's very, very strong. So, good evening to everyone that's joining us well, and quite interesting about all those different festivals I heard. Let's find out those things. So, hope you have a good weekend, and enjoy the time off work. Some of them might be having more than needed. VK3 EKH, VK3 TJS.
Thanks, Jack. VK3TJS in Shepparton, VK3EKH replying. Very good. You're 15 to 20 over 9, 15 to 20 over 9 here in Tanarra South. And thanks for the report too, and the kind words. And we shall endeavour to keep it going. Yes, I'm only working 3 days a week at the moment, working Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I've effectively gone from full-time to part-time at the same company. And it's a bit of, well, not that I mind having the extended long weekends, but the loss in the salary side of it's fairly obvious at this point in time. It's been about 6 weeks now, so it's yeah. But we do have the option of going back from full-time to from part-time to full-time in February, if I so desire, or I can continue on with the current part-time arrangement. But there is it's under a 6-monthly review. It just depends on the workload at work at the end of the day. But yeah, it's the long weekends have been good. There's a chance for getting some things done, but with the way the weather is at the moment, you know, it's just mumble. Anyway, thanks, Jake. Across to you there, I think it's John, VK3BSE, VK3 Bravo Sierra Echo. Have a go, VK3EKH.
Yeah, VK3EKH in the group, VK3BSE. Yes, it is John Clint. Yeah, and it's Bravo Sierra Echo. It's Summit down on the Mornington Peninsula. Yeah, good broadcast. In fact, I was running, I was sort of tuning around 80 tonight. I was wondering if how well I like the broadcast to get out, but your signal is you're a few dB above the lightning crashes. You're as good as would be about 30 over 9 here, and that's good. The area is an 80 metre off-centre-fed dipole that I've got up at the moment, partly thanks to the goes across the neighbour's front yard to empty myself of the room. But the neighbours are rarely here, so that's all fine business. Yeah, very interesting broadcast on all sorts of things, and there's lots of crazy things happening now, and the ordinary, more common folk making their way into space. That's a new thing. And yeah, it's all good fun. Anyway, won't hold it. I've been listening to the broadcast and winding up one-to-one balance as you do. So thanks to you and the group, and quite like the broadcast. In fact, I think I must have listened to this broadcast months ago, maybe even before I was licensed, I don't know. But anyhow, yes, all very good. And it's also good, I think it's one of those good things on shortwave that unlicensed people can listen to. VK3 EKH and the group, VK3 Bravo Sierra Echo.
Thanks, John. VK3BSE Summers, VK3EKH in Narre South replying. Very good, John. Thanks for calling in. You're peaking just over 20 over 9, a little bit of cure speed, but your centre offset antenna is working very well for you. I tried one of those early in the piece when we first moved into Narre South, but unfortunately everything I touched in the shack when I came up on 80 metres was hot. There's RF everywhere. So I was looking forward to finally getting my looking forward to getting just a standard inverted V antenna up, but I had to get the tower up first to be able to do that. But those are the early days. Yeah, the antenna here is an inverted V. So, very good. Yes, look, well, we're here every Friday, and like I always say, the broadcast has been happening since 1988. Occasionally there's the odd Fridays that are missed, but mostly we've been here since for me at least 2009 or something like that, when I came and took over the microphone from Russell. But we've managed to keep the tradition going, as they say. All on behalf of the ASV. Yep, thanks, John. Thanks very much for calling. It's fantastic to hear. Okay, I'm winding your coils there. Across to Martin, down in across the strait there. I'd hate to be out in a boat on Bass Strait right now. VK7JAH, VK3EKH.
Good evening, Clint. Actually, the weather down here isn't actually anywhere near as bad as I suspect it is in Melbourne, so, but down here at the moment, it's actually fairly pleasant. Yeah, we've got clear skies, beautiful views of the roofs back in Sydney, and looking pretty good towards the south as well. So, actually, fairly clear weather. Good broadcast, thanks very much. Nice information. Just as a general comment, I was running the Untitled Planetarium on the Sunday. It's still got the 3 o'clock, just like the start of 6 months, but else come off. And keep it soft. It is a really bad the time to do it, but never mind. And just as a general comment, I was involved here for many years when Russell was actually carrying out the broadcast. I was supposed to moved out a lot. I got tactical box for many years. I only just got back to it. But up until about, I guess it was about 2005 or something like that. 2005, I was on for about 8 or 9 years before that. So it was my second time around to the broadcast. But good clear signals tonight, very clear. You're about 15 over 9 and very readable. Over.
Good on you. Thanks, Martin. VK7JH, VK3EKH returning. Very good. Thanks for the signal report. And likewise, you're about 15 to 20 over 9 and coming through pretty well despite all the the lightning crashes that are going on at the moment. So, yeah, I'm getting fairly good reports from everybody. I'm fairly happy with despite the noise on the band. It's been pretty good thus far. And yeah, look, Russell did great job at manning the radio for the first 20 years. Russell, of course, only did it on 80 meters on this frequency, and he's I really didn't listen to too much of Russell's broadcasts. For me, Friday night was the end of the week, and all I wanted to do was to get some fish and chips and a glass of wine and put on a good movie. And thinking about electronics or radio was far from my mind. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, thanks, Martin, and I'm sure occasionally Russell does listen in, and I know that he's definitely still around. All right, thanks, Martin. Good to hear. It's really raining outside very heavily at the moment. It's gone up to 25 mils at the moment, so it's bloody weather. All right, across to David, VK2 Echo Lima Sierra. Have a say, David, VK3 EKH. A little tricky to hear there, Dave. VK2 ELS, VK3 EKH. Yeah, didn't quite catch all that. You're sitting around the S9. I missed Mike. Mike, I just realised I missed your mic. Stand by. I haven't forgotten you there. So I just realised I missed right over you. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, okay. Thanks, David, for calling in. Yeah, a little bit tricky to hear you, mate. The lightning crashes are a bit strong on you. But you're hovering around strength 8 to strength 9 here, and the lightning is affecting you. But I note that you said that you were looking at the YouTube channel as well. So yeah, I haven't checked that. So as far as I know, the YouTube channel might not be working, but I think you're the first person to report that it's okay. So thank goodness for that. Anyway, very good. Thanks, David, for listening in, and I'm glad that the signal up there is good enough to be able to copy on 80. I'm only running 100 watts here, so it must be working. but that's also why I provide the YouTube and the audio stream. Well, the audio stream's still offline at the moment, but the YouTube should be just as good. Thanks, Dave. Very good. All right, now I do apologies, Mike, for going right over the top of you there. If you're still there and awake, it's your turn. VK3XL, VK3EKH.
Yeah, no worries. With VK3EKH, VK3XL on the group. Nothing much to report. Good broadcast as per usual. One thing on pronunciation, Coriolis is the word that you were looking for. So it's Coriolis. I think you got it right towards the end, but I have had the displeasure, I suppose, of having to deal with the Coriolis phenomenon for mass flow measurement in pipework, and yeah, it's all related. All good. And signal reports, you're 5 and 7 on my dummy load. VK3EKH, VK3XL.
VK3XL, VK3EKH. Yeah, Mike's no more than about 400 metres away from me. So there's a bunch of local lads in this area. So Mike's onto them. Anyway, g'day Mike. Thanks for calling in, and yeah, I hope there was some something out of tonight that got interest to you at least. But yeah, you're certainly penning the needle, definitely full scale. So there's no problems with that signal indeed. All right, thanks Mike. Good on you. Is there anybody else wishing to call in tonight? VK3EKH. Did I look? See. I'm falling down on my job here. Sorry, Steve. I did. My glasses aren't working for me. I knew there was another station. Take it away, Steve. My apologies. VK3NFS, VK3EKH.
Curiosity running is the best way of putting it anyway. You can look up those sort of more involved reports and everything else. It's definitely a good broadcast we're doing today. So yeah, not just keep it rolling, buddy, just keep it going. I'll just keep going for the top down, so then I'll sit back here and get out of here. But
Ooh, bit difficult. VK2 NFS, sorry, VK3 NFS. I think it's Wodonga. VK3, yeah, Wodonga. VK3 EKH replying. All right, Steve. Yeah, look, I didn't catch too much of that. So yeah, not much for me to comment on, I'm afraid. The band is just too noisy at the moment. So my apologies. Didn't really capture a whole lot of that. But I've been meaning to reply to your email. It's there. In fact, I think it's sitting in the drafts folder at the moment. So I'm wanting to reply to that email you sent to me a couple of weeks ago. I'm very slow off the mark in doing things like that sometimes, but I try not to forget. Anyway, thanks, Steve, and hopefully next Friday night will be better conditions. October is our wettest month, and it's a bit of a trick, but hopefully next Friday the band will be a bit better to hear. Anyway, thanks, Steve. You're definitely in the log here. Is there anybody else? VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH, VK3 VAT, just reporting in, the usual, good signal on the RTV, that is. Yeah, and everything went well. That's it.
Thanks, Tony. VK3 VAT, another local lad. VK3 EKH. Thank you very much. Better write your note down in the log here, so you definitely called in. All right, there you are. You're in the log. All right, thanks, Tony. Anybody else? VK3 EKH. All right. On that note, we're out of here. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel with VK3 CSJ on the microphone, bidding everybody a safe and warm weekend and week. Take it easy, look after yourselves, and we'll see you all next Friday yet again with some more news and the like. So, for any other information on the Society, ASV, just go to the website at www.asv.org.au and all will be revealed on that matter. I'll be doing the, for those who watch YouTube, the YouTube channel, and for the Melbourne TV repeater, there'll be a broadcast of the visual representation of the WA broadcast at 10:30 on Sunday morning, and then repeated on Sunday night at 10 o'clock. Whether I repeat Timothy's thing, I don't know yet. I'll make that decision as on the fly. Otherwise, and of course, next Tuesday is the ATV net. So if you want to catch up with the goings on here in Melbourne on ATV scene, there is a regular Tuesday night ATV net at 7:30, hosted by Neil, VK3 BCU, and sometimes Ian, VK3 Quebec Lima. And g'day to Ian if you're watching. Thank you for all the promos. And you can catch up with the ATV net on the YouTube stream on Tuesday nights, courtesy of Ian again, VK3 Quebec Lima, who runs the YouTube stream. Right, is there anything else in there? No, I don't think so. So this is VK3 EKH concluding transmissions on 3541 kilohertz. A very pleasant good evening to everybody. Take care, look after yourselves, and I've already said that. So cheers everyone, take care.